So what we have is we have an inside corner in the room, okay? And we're going to be running baseboard. Now, if we just take our baseboard and we cut it at 45 degrees and 45 degrees, it'll make a 90-degree angle, right? And that's what we have here, a 90-degree angle. But the reality is, inside corners in rooms, they're never square. And even though you take your time and you cut this to 45 to make a 90, when you nail your baseboard into place, you'll always wind up with a joint like this. And the reason for that is floors can be unlevel, houses tend to settle over the years, and things get out of sync, things get out of square. Drywall may be applied in such a way where it's not put flush against the wall, or plaster may not be flush, and so that's why you'll never have a perfect corner in a room. So how do we fix this? Well, there are really two solutions. Now, if you're painting the baseboard, a gap like this really doesn't matter because you can fill the void in with caulking, paint it, no one will ever know. But if you're staining the baseboard, or you're going with a natural look, well, caulking isn't going to do anything. So I'm going to show you the solution, and it's called coping. And let's go in a workshop. Let me show you how that's done. I'm holding a piece of baseboard here that I've already coped out. And you can see the profile of it. And I'm going to show you how that is done. Now I've got a piece of baseboard here that we're going to cope, and I've cut it at a 45-degree angle. Now the reason why we make this cut, this 45-degree cut on a miter saw, is guess what? It reveals perfectly the outline for us to follow. And that's the only reason. This is the only reason you cut it at 45 degrees, because it shows you the outline of where you need to place your saw. Because you're going to just follow this line here. Just going to follow it all the way around. Now, if you don't have a miter saw, don't worry about it. You can use this technique here. What you do is you take the baseboard, okay, and you take it and you place it on top of another piece of baseboard. Just make certain that it's square, because that's very, very important. Then the next thing you want to use a pencil with a very sharp point on it, because precision matters here. And what you're going to do is you're just going to mark the outside of the baseboard. And that's how you create your outline to cut. Just be very careful. And like I said, make certain that you have a nice sharp point. And that's what it's going to look like. So this is what a coping saw looks like, okay? And it has a very skinny blade. And this very narrow, skinny blade allows us to make very intricate cuts. So think of it this way. It's like having a pair of scissors, okay, coping saw, and you're cutting it out. It's a cutout. You're just following the line. So I've got my baseboard secured to a stable surface. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the coping saw, I'm going to start following the line. But before I do that, for camera's sake, so you'll be able to see it best at home, I'm going to take a pencil and I'm going to just run my pencil along the edge there. And then that way you'll be able to see. Now you can do this yourself. You don't have to, but if it's going to make it easier for you to see, I suggest you do it. There we go. That's our line to follow. We can really see it very well. All right? Now, I'm going to start off with my coping saw here, and I'm just going to make a series of relief cuts. Now, the one thing about a coping saw is it really doesn't take a lot of force, okay? It just doesn't. One thing you want to be mindful of is you don't want to cut beyond that line. You really want to stay right on that line. Take your time, because I'll tell you, the rewards are going to be huge. Okay, so I've got my relief cuts in. I have 3. You can put more relief cuts if that will help the coping saw work best for you. And remember, just take your time. Okay, so I've got my saw and I'm going to follow the line. There's that line, right? Now here's the thing. We're going to do something called back cutting. What that means is we're going to tip our blade just a little forward, okay? See the angle of the blade? But we're going to still follow the line. Just stay in front of the line here. I'm not really right up on the line. Stay in front of it because we can always take a file and file that down. Okay, so I'm going to have to clean this up just a little bit, and that's where using a file comes in handy. You can use a file to clean up those rounded edges. And the same thing is true right here in this niche. But be very careful because this tip here is going to be very fragile. So just take your time, all right? Just take your time. So this is our coped corner. And as you can see, I followed the profile of it, okay? And that's what it's supposed to look like. Now I'm going to flip it over and you can see how the back is really back cut, see? See how that's cut away? And it's going to make it easier for us to fit our corner together. There'll be less interference. In fact, there won't be any interference whatsoever. So what you want to do is you want to take your baseboard, okay? Notice that this is the first piece that we put up is just a straight cut. And what you do is you take that straight cut all the way to the corner, all right? Now we're going to take the piece that we've coped, right? And what you do is we're just going to fit it into the side here. And that's what a coped corner should look like. This is Leah saying, you can do this. See you next time.